During the American Civil War, many states in the Union saw bitter fighting between Union and Confederate forces, along with the occupation of towns by both sides throughout the course of the war. One of the many states to see fighting was the state of Missouri. From the beginning of the war all the way to its end, Missouri was the site of many famous and non-famous battles. In 1864, Major General Sterling Price from Keytesville, Missouri, launched a raid in the fall of that year. After failing to take the Missouri state capital, Price turned to take control of Kansas City in the western part of the state. Along the way, he recruited many volunteers, most of whom were unarmed. This would change after the Battle of Glasgow, a town just north of Booneville, Missouri. Glasgow at the time was the site of a Union weapons cache. The town, however, was poorly defended and vulnerable to attack by Confederate forces. Before October 12th, the city was under control of a Union force of about 160. On October 13th, Union General Chester Harding and 6 companies of the 43rd Missouri Regiment, a total of 740 more troops, were en route to Jefferson City on 2 boats, the Westwind and the Benton. Upon arrival, Harding was told that he was no longer needed to serve in Jefferson City, and chose to stay at Glasgow and take command of the town's defenses. The Benton then departed, leaving the Westwind at Glasgow. Harding commanded the Union defenders to dig trenches and to build makeshift fortifications so that they might just have a chance of making it if the town did happen to come under attack. On the night of October 14th, General Sterling Price, who was staying in Booneville, heard from an anonymous source that there was a large cache of weapons that had just been delivered to the river town of Glasgow. Price seized this opportunity to supply his troops and sent around 1,500 to 1,800 troops under the command of General John Bullock Clark, Jr. and General Joseph Shelby north toward Glasgow. Up in Glasgow, the Union soldiers were busy with digging their trench defenses and preparing for attack. They were quite unaware of Price's plan to seize the weapons cache, but still they were determined to defend it and the town by whatever means necessary to stop it from falling into Confederate hands. The Battle of Glasgow began just before dawn on the morning of October 15th at precisely 5 a.m. General Shelby had 2 pieces of artillery set up on the west bank of the Missouri River. Meanwhile, General Clark was to attack the town from the south and begin his attack just after the first shots were fired. However, difficulties in crossing the river at Arrow Rock delayed his attack by about 2 hours, and he did not reach the town until 7 a.m. Immediately, General Clark ordered his artillery to open fire on the town. During the first 2 hours of the battle, Union forces were virtually pinned down and unable to move due to excessive fire and sharp shooting from Confederates on streets that ran at angles towards the river. Just after firing the first shots from the artillery to the south of the town, General Clark gave the order for the troops to begin invading the town of Glasgow. Confederates were shot down as they approached the Union defenses, and after about 2 more hours of ferocious fighting, the Southerners managed to drive the Union troops away from their positions and back towards the town, where the battle continued in house-to-house fighting for 4 more hours. One house has been noted by civilians to have been occupied by Confederates during the battle. The house of William H. Dunica, now known as Dunhaven, was used by rebels to fire on houses occupied by the Federal troops.
Oh, come all ye that hold communion with the Southern Confederates so bold, and I'll tell of some men for the Union who another in ranks were enrolled. They came to Missouri in their glory, and they thought at their might we'd be dismayed. But they soon had a different story when they met with the Irish Brigade. They met with the Irish Brigade.
As the Confederates began to close in, the Union troops retreated to their entrenchments at the top of Hereford's Hill at about 1:30. Chester Harding, realizing that defeat was inevitable, gave the order for his troops to surrender. The Battle of Glasgow was now over. The town hall, being where the weapons were stored, burned down by Union troops along with half a block of downtown Glasgow, the Westwind sunk by cannon fire, and about 450 total casualties. After the battle, the Confederates decided to give the Union soldiers parole, and in addition let the officers keep their pistols. In the aftermath of the battle, the Confederates managed to capture 1,200 muskets, 1,200 overcoats, and 150 horses, despite the weapons cache being destroyed by Federal troops. The Confederates occupied the city of Glasgow for 3 days after the battle. On October 18th, they departed and rejoined General Sterling Price's main army at Booneville. The Confederate victory at Glasgow and capture of munitions upped the morale for the Confederates and Price's army. 1 week after the Battle of Glasgow, General Sterling Price and his Confederate army were defeated by General Samuel Curtis at the Battle of Westport, thus ending the South's offensive in Missouri.